The Batman Arkham Trilogy, three of the most well-known and loved comic book games of all time, as long as you're not playing them on the Nintendo Switch. There have been remasters and re-releases of these three games over the past couple years, and rightly so. This trilogy is one of the best gaming has to offer and is still widely talked about to this day. But there is one game lurking in the shadows, one game that is constantly ignored and sometimes forgotten about, the black sheep of the Arkham series, Batman Arkham Origins. Today we talk about what separates this game from the rest of the series, and if there's a distinct reason why it doesn't get as much love as the others. So grab some hot chocolate, light a cozy fire, and let's dive in. What's good, Knights? Good Night Gaming here. Today I am back with another video, and you know, it's that perfect time of year where it's all cold and you can get all cozy, stay inside, have a hot drink, watch your favorite Christmas movie. But I thought, what better way for me to spend my time than playing Batman Arkham Origins, which is set during Christmas. Now, you guys may have seen my videos on Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and know that I love those games a whole bunch. I have played them so many times throughout the years, but Arkham Origins is definitely the game I've played the least. In fact, the last time I played it was a couple years ago. I don't even remember when. But it's no secret that this game is far different from the others in many ways. And today we're going to go over all the things like story, gameplay, the usual stuff. But of course, as always, let's dive into some background. And what are some of the obvious things starting out that make this game the so-called black sheep of the Arkham series? Well, the most obvious difference is that this game is not made by Rocksteady, but instead WB Montreal. You see, after Arkham City, Rocksteady knew that they were going to need a lot more time to make Arkham Knight compared to the time it took between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. So WB stepped in because, let's be honest, these games make them some money. And we're like, that's a lot of time to wait for an Arkham game, so we're gonna make an Arkham game. And they made it a prequel to Arkham Asylum so that they wouldn't interfere with Rocksteady's storytelling of Arkham Knight. I think the biggest change here, given that this is a prequel and Rocksteady is working on Arkham Knight at the same time, is that there is no Kevin Conroy or Mark Hamill to reprise Batman and the Joker. Instead, the voices you hear are Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker, and the game released 2 years after Arkham City on October 25th, 2013. And those are some big differences you'll notice off the bat, but we need to dive a little deeper, find out all the things that really deviate this game from all the others. And let's start out by diving into the story. In his second year as the Dark Knight, Batman arrives at Blackgate Prison to stop an ongoing riot. There he finds Black Mask with Killer Croc at his side, breaking out multiple prisoners. Batman attempts to halt their schemes, but Black Mask makes his escape via helicopter and leaves Croc to face Batman. After defeating Croc, Batman learns that Black Mask hired 8 assassins to try and kill Batman for a $50 million reward. Killer Croc, Deathstroke, Firefly, Copperhead, Deadshot, Electrocutioner, Lady Shiva, and Bane. Batman visits the Penguin's boat after finding a drone he believes belongs to him. There he encounters Electrocutioner, whom he absolutely destroys, and Deathstroke, who he eventually defeats after a tough fight. When interrogating Penguin, he reveals that there's been a murder at Black Mask's safe house. Police believe that the victim was Black Mask and that Penguin killed him. After Batman sets up a crime scene, he learns that the victim isn't Black Mask and that there's someone else connected to the crime scene named the Joker. Batman breaks into the GCPD to obtain more information. He encounters Jim Gordon's daughter, Barbara Gordon, as she points him in the right direction. Batman learns that the Joker tried to ambush Black Mask at his safe house but ended up killing a decoy. The real Black Mask got the drop on him, but it wasn't enough, as Joker won the fight and dragged him off. Batman heads to Gotham Merchant's Bank, where he meets the Joker for the very first time and learns that he's been posing as Black Mask, and he's actually the one who set the bounty on Batman. Joker drives off, but Batman learns that he's been setting up camp in the steel mill. After breaking in, Batman saves Black Mask, but is encountered and poisoned by Copperhead. Batman hallucinates for a bit and fights off Copperhead until Alfred eventually sends him an antidote. She reveals Joker has called a meeting among the assassins, so he uses Electrocutioner's electromagnetic signature to track them down. Once Batman is in the hotel, he spies on their meeting as he witnesses Electrocutioner be kicked out of a window. He takes Electrocutioner's shock gloves and proceeds upward. Once he's close to the top, Bane grabs a hold of him and tosses him in the room with Joker for a one-on-one. Bane eventually comes back and proceeds to fight Batman. As Bane juices up on Venom, Alfred calls Gordon for police backup. Ultimately, Bane Bane escapes and fires a rocket at Joker, sending him flying off the building. Batman jumps off the building to rescue Joker, and he is taken into police custody as Batman flees the scene. Joker is taken to Blackgate Prison, where he meets Dr. Harleen Quinzel. He ponders the situation that just took place and believes that him and Batman are made for each other. As Batman is about to leave the Batcave to take on the remaining assassins, him and Alfred get into an argument as Alfred fears for his safety. Batman infiltrates Bane's hideouts, learning of an experimental venom called TN1, but also that Bane has figured out Batman's identity. He destroys Bane's hideout, but before he can go back to the Batcave, he learns that Firefly has taken over Pioneer's Bridge. Batman tries to warn Gordon not to move in as there are bombs all over the bridge, but Gordon doesn't listen. Batman disarms 3 out of the 4 bombs until he's interrupted by Firefly. Batman fights Firefly long enough for Gordon to disarm the last bomb, and Firefly is defeated. Batman flies back home to the Batcave, but learns that Bane is already there destroying everything, and has left Alfred nearly dead. But when it looks like Alfred is dead, he uses the shock gloves to resuscitate him. Batman almost gives up fighting crime, but Alfred tells him that Joker has incited a riot at Blackgate, and that Batman doesn't always have to fight alone. Batman takes his advice and teams up with Gordon to try and take down Joker. After entering the prison, he finds Joker, who forces Batman into a moral conundrum. If Batman kills Bane, then Joker will live. If Batman doesn't kill Bane, then Joker will die. If he doesn't participate, Batman will die. After a long fight, Batman temporarily stops Bane's heart using the shock gloves, resulting in the Joker fleeing. But Batman uses the shock gloves to resuscitate Bane as he did to Alfred. Bane jolts up, grabbing Batman, and proceeds to inject himself with TN1. Bane becomes even more monstrous, resulting in Batman having to take him down stealthily, but Bane eventually loses. And thanks to the TN1, he also loses his memory. After a long night, Batman meets Joker in the prison chapel. As Joker is celebrating, Batman reveals that Bane is still alive, to which Joker loses it and tries to push Batman to kill him. Batman is able to resist and proceeds to beat Joker down, leaving him for Gordon. Batman flees. The game finally ends as Gordon states that Gotham finally has something to believe in. So yeah, that's basically the synopsis of the entire story, and I think overall it does pretty well. I love that we got a fresh Batman that's still new to the game and is still considered a myth to a lot of people. It's still so early on that even cops don't trust him. This is a Batman who is young and is full of rage. I think Roger Craig Smith did an amazing job showing off the emotion that Batman has. This is a Batman who's very brutal and vengeful and likes to do everything all by himself. He doesn't really like to have help, besides Alfred, of course. And I'm glad they gave us this unique version of him. They didn't just try to copy Kevin Conroy, because it does allow for Batman to actually have an arc in this game, especially with Gordon. They don't trust each other, and anytime Alfred tries to suggest that Gordon help, Batman doesn't want any part of it. And anytime Batman tries to suggest something to Gordon, Gordon doesn't care and considers him a vigilante. But by the end of the game, Batman learns to accept that extra help, and Gordon learns more about how Batman operates. They just assumed before that he is a killer who's taken law into his own hands, but eventually learns that that's not how Batman does things, and that maybe Batman is good for Gotham because it gives people something to believe in, and it gives them hope, just like it gives his daughter hope. But the irony is, as Gordon really doesn't like Batman, the police officers that work under him are actively trying to get him fired, also trying to collect this bounty for themselves. And it's all just a classic case of you might think you know shit, sometimes you just don't know shit. Batman and Alfred even have a full-blown argument in this game, and it's a well voice acted scene and such a pivotal one in the Arkham series, as Alfred is worried for Batman's safety. This is the boy he raised ever since his parents were killed, so he's obviously worried about him and like really doesn't want him to keep fighting these assassins because he feel like he'll kill himself because of it. But Batman knows that this is a responsibility that he has to commit to in order to make Gotham a better place.
Alfred, who do you see when you look at me? The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning? The teenager you drove to his first date? While you are here every night, I am out there. The only thing between the innocent and the predator.
Be.
No, not may be. I am. When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, that is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises.
And you can understand both sides, and that's what makes this scene so good. As for the bounty, it's a concept I do like, and I do enjoy majority of the 8 assassins. 2 of them do get resorted to side missions with Deadshot and Shiva. So let me go through each assassin and tell you what I like and what I don't like about them. Killer Croc. I always like Killer Croc. He's not that big and scary guy we know yet in Arkham Asylum. He's a little bit more skinny, a little bit more humane, I guess. He's really only in the opening of the game, and I'm glad we do get to fight him. He serves as a great first boss fight. It was pretty fun, aside from the fact that the boss fight glitched to absolute hell. But aside from that, Croc has my thumbs up. Next is Firefly, which yes, Firefly is a cool gimmick. Who doesn't love seeing shit explode all the time? The boss fight for Firefly, I remember enjoying much more when I was younger, but going back and replaying it, I did not find it all that fun. The set piece is really cool, and the cinematics and the quick time events is awesome to look at, but the boss fight itself is very repetitive and kind of lame. It just involves you throwing a glue grenade at him and then spamming batarangs and then doing that over and over again with the occasional running. It is fun when he grapples onto him and they start flying around, but besides that, there is no variety in how you take them down. It's just glue grenade, batarangs over and over and over again. It's just like, it gets kind of lame. We'll go in the middle here, probably pointing towards thumbs up. Deathstroke. Do I need to even explain why Deathstroke is the fucking GOAT? It's a shame his part in this game is so small, but I understand why. He's just so cool, and that boss fight you have with him is amazing. How you go back and forth. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching who have tried to do that boss fight without taking a hit, and that shit was difficult, man. And the design for his costume is so cool. It's like the perfect Deathstroke design. I just think about how good this Deathstroke was, and it's just a shame to what they did to him in Arkham Knight. It's just, man, bring me this Deathstroke again. Overall, again, thumbs up. Copperhead. I wish I could say a whole lot. I went into this game not knowing anything about Copperhead, and I left the game thinking, she doesn't really do a whole lot. She just poisons Batman, and then you have a kind of lame boss fight with her, if you want to call it that. I don't know, I feel like there could have been more done with her. Again, I understand why. If you were gonna make 2 of the assassin side missions, I would have swapped her out for either of them. Honestly, the 2 side missions seem more interesting. Yeah, sadly, I'm gonna have to give Copperhead a thumbs down on this one. Next is Electrocutioner, and he doesn't really do much in this game. The only purpose he serves is that he gets Batman the shock gloves so that he can resuscitate Bane and Alfred later. He quite literally just shows up, gets his ass kicked, and then dies. And I'm fine with it. I don't think anyone gave a fuck that Electrocutioner didn't get enough screen time or anything. But if I'm rating him as a villain, thumbs all the way down. If I'm rating him for comedy purposes, that's a goddamn thumbs up right there. Next, we have Bane. This is the best version of Bane in the Arkham series that we have. I'm okay with the design and Bane in the other Arkham games. I feel like this is how Bane should be, not just pushed off to the sidelines, not being a dumb, big monster dude. In this game, they actually show Bane having intelligence. He's able to deduce Batman's identity. His design is pretty fucking cool. He's an actual threat to Batman. His first 2 boss fights are pretty fun. He charges at you and you can get out of the way before you beat the shit out of him. I think it would have been cool to delve a little bit deeper and see exactly why Bane wants Batman dead so bad. I mean, we could kind of obviously say that Batman has been putting away these people for 2 years, so he obviously did something to Bane, but I would have loved to see more depth upon that. But other than that, Bane overall pretty fucking cool. His last boss fight where he becomes a TN1 monster is not that great. I get why they did it. They had to explain why Bane became so big and not just a normal dude, but that fight is janky as all hell, and they needed a way to kind of say like, oh, you forgot his memory, oh no. It makes me really wonder why Rocksteady never really pushed Bane, even though we all know he's like one of the biggest Batman villains. But maybe it's for the best, because seeing a young Batman here face off against an intelligent, brutal, combat efficient Bane right here is absolutely perfect. So once again, thumbs up up Bane. I'll talk about Shiva and Deadshot later when I get into the side missions, but first I'll talk about the main two villains of the game, I guess. We'll start out with Joker, and Troy Baker's performance as Joker in this game is really incredible. Obviously, no one's ever gonna touch Mark Hamill's version of the character, but Troy Baker did his thing. He made it his own, and he's honestly like the second voice I would think of when reading Joker in the comics or something.
How many lives did you just take?
None, I think.
And the character in this game as well, how he meets with Batman, how we peek into his mind at Blackgate Prison, all of that is very interesting.
There's nothing so cruel as memory.
This game really understands the dynamic between Batman and Joker, because Joker goes over how he felt like his whole life is building to this one moment, and this is the person he was destined to meet. And this section takes inspiration from the Killing Joke comic with the Red Hood. I also love that as he's telling this to Harleen, she thinks he's talking about her. This section does kind of break canon a little bit, because in Arkham Asylum you can find a tape where Harleen met the Joker in Arkham Asylum, and I've seen some theories where Harley is posing as a guard in Arkham Asylum, which, let's be honest, they just forgot about it. They didn't know that there was a fucking tape in Arkham Asylum that said that shit. But honestly, I'm fine with taking this over the Arkham Asylum tape because it is such a good section, and we actually get to play as the Joker, which is pretty fun. I wish I could use him in the challenge maps. No, we never get an explanation as to why Joker put the bounty on Batman in the first place. You can kind of assume just because he doesn't know Batman at all. It's explained that he just came to Gotham, so he's probably looking to fuck some shit up, cause some chaos, and he doesn't want Batman to be in the way of that. But you can see the progression to where he at first wants Batman to be dead, and then you can see that he's starting to have a little bit more fun with Batman around, because it's just so insane to him that Batman would save his life instead of killing him.
Who else would jump off a building to save your sorry ass? You know, officer.
I was wondering the same thing myself.
He even tries to put Batman's morality to a test at the end of the game with that whole elaborate setup between him and Bane, which, by the way, is an awesome fucking plan.
You will fight me with all your reserve, or you will die. Someone is going to die. You, me, or the clown. The question of which one of us it is in your hands.
And when Batman doesn't want to play along, he gets angry, which is very in line with the Joker. All he wants to do is fuck with Batman and push him to its limits because it's fun for him. I think what's interesting is that Joker sees Batman in this kind of nightmarish form, which people have theorized why exactly that's the case. Personally, he kind of tries to relate to Batman, and so that's his perception of him, or that he kind of sees the potential in Batman, what he could be if he didn't have that morality. Again, it's not really explained in the game, but that's the fun part about it, is just theorizing and really making your own conclusion of it. And the fact that the last interaction with Joker is not some big elaborate boss fight, but a one-on-one face-to-face, it allowed for an iconic moment between these characters followed by a fucking beatdown. And yeah, overall, again, Troy Baker's performance as this character was fucking awesome. The line delivery, the voice, everything. I love Joker's look in this game. That being said, I'm gonna shift to the next portion of this. Everyone remembers when this game was about to come out, WB advertised that the main villain of this game was going to be Black Mask, and everyone was digging that. The look from the trailers, he had a cool demeanor and a cool ass voice. The plot was about to be insane, and we were okay with it. Joker was the villain for Asylum and City, and we were like, okay, it might be good to see someone else take up that main villain role for a change. We knew Joker was gonna be in it, but we didn't think he was gonna be the main villain again, so it very much did not sit right with me when not that far into this game, it's revealed that the Black Mask we've been seeing is not the real Black Mask, but it's just Joker in disguise, and he was the one who sent the bounty, and the real Black Mask gets sidelined and then set to a side mission. And I feel like the potential there could have been so good. Of course, I'm happy with Joker in this game and everything, but just They gave us Black Mask as the main villain on a silver platter and then fucking threw it away. And not even that far into the game either. Like I said, it's like they wrote down the initial plan was Black Mask as the main villain, and then 5 minutes into writing the script they were like, but is he though? I don't know, it could have been so good because Black Mask is such a cool villain and he gets constantly disrespected in these games. It's infuriating. Yeah, besides that, other little things I could say about the story is that the cutscenes and the art style is fucking beautiful. It really deviates from the other Arkham games. It has its own unique style, how much the colors pop out. Plus the music is amazing. Whoever had the idea to make Carol of the Bells Joker's theme for this game needs a fucking raise. But yeah, I don't know why this story gets overlooked so much because it gives us so much shit. Of course, different from the rest of the Arkham games. It's not like bad changes or anything. After Asylum and City, this is the first time we get to see Batman really have an arc and character development. It's just baffling that it doesn't get talked about as much as the other ones. And there's no really major issues with the story. Again, a couple nitpicks about some of the villains, maybe the pacing in like 1 or 2 parts can be kind of slow, but besides that, the story, voice acting, soundtrack, art style, all of that is fucking amazing. Hopefully we can see justice for this game in the future, like a remaster or just something, man. All right, well, that's everything about the story. Let's delve into gameplay. Now, gameplay wise, I'll be honest, it doesn't really have the jump that the gameplay had from Asylum to City. It really just builds off of City's gameplay and adds a few more things on there, but I don't really mind it that much. So you're not gonna see any major changes to combat or stealth, just a few extra gadgets and enemies and stuff. I'd say the biggest change to combat is that you do get the addition of shock gloves, which does more damage to enemies, which is pretty fun. It helps a lot. And there are new enemy types for combat. There are the brutes. You basically have to defeat twice. They have 2 different stages, and there's a bunch of different variations, like one on Titan. Those can be fun. It kind of does get annoying when they charge at you and you have to break out of their grasp. And one enemy type I love that they added to this game was the martial artists, which basically when you attack them, they can counter you, and you basically have to go back and forth between countering each other. And it is visually really cool just seeing you go back and forth with these guys. Again, not really anything added to combat. It's pretty much the same as Arkham City besides those few changes. I did notice, I don't know if this is just me, the combat didn't feel as smooth as it was in Arkham City. It does get a little clunky sometimes, but if you're just a casual player, you would never notice it. Maybe I'm just bad at this game alone, but when they fucking pair up those martial artists and those brutes together, oh my god, I want to throw my controller. Stealth, again, really does not change much. I think the coolest thing that's added to this game, which I'm sad was not in Arkham Knight, is the remote claw. It's basically where you could attach 2 objects or enemies to something else. So if you wanted to, you can make a line between 2 enemies and they'll pull each other in, or an enemy and a fire extinguisher, and the fire extinguisher will go flying. It is so fun. I sat in a room with a bunch of different explosive barrels and just attached them to each enemy. They just go down so easily. It's so fun. Really, again, nothing too major of a change in stealth. I wish there was more to talk about, but I understand it. This was made to really hold over until Arkham Knight came out, so yeah, they really just had to build on the system of Arkham City. I will say one cool mechanic that they added into this game that you see come back in Arkham Knight because it was so fucking cool is the crime scene recreation, to where Batman scans clues in an area, replay the crime scene in his cowl, and you can fast forward or rewind if you want to find even more clues and see how the crime scene actually happened. It's very cool visually, and it adds so much to the detective part of Batman, rather than in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City when you would scan something, Batman would just kind of say what happened, but the fact that you get to see, pretty fucking cool. When playing this game, you will notice that part of the map is actually just a pre-wall Arkham City. Again, the game building off Arkham City. They do add a section to the lower half, which is basically another smaller city. I'll be honest, when you play Arkham City, you can memorize the map pretty well. There are a bunch of notable landmarks with their own atmosphere and everything. So you're gonna remember the top half of the map pretty well because you've already played through it. When you get to the bottom half of the map, if you told me to recreate anything from the bottom half of the map, just shoot me. The whole bottom half of the map really just meshes together and starts looking the fucking same. The only real notable spots I can remember is Jezebel Plaza, That's it, dog. I gave this game its praises, but I gotta just focus on this fucking map design real quick. Why the fuck are there some areas of the map that are like blocked by a building that I can't fly over? It's cool that you can visit like the area before it became Wonder Tower, you know. They still have one side of the wall right there and you can't go over it. You can go like through it through a door, but you have to go around it if you want to get to where you're going, and it's just so fucking annoying. Just take down the wall. There's even another area like that in the bottom half of the map where there's just a fucking giant building right there, and you can't go over it, so you got to go around it, and it's just like, why? And you know what doesn't help? The fact that the gliding is so slow. In Arkham City, we could deal with it, right? Because it was just that top half of the map. It was just Arkham City, and that was it. But you have two different cities connected by this long ass bridge, and you didn't speed up the gliding. Thankfully, I feel like they knew this because they added a fast travel system. Thank fucking God. I use that so many times because gliding is unbearable sometimes. I feel like they knew that, which is why they added the fast travel systems. You just make it faster if you were gonna add the fast travel stuff, because the fast travel stuff is like a whole nother section in the game where you have to unlock all the fast travel points, and it's just like, you could have just made the gliding faster and we would have been okay. I think that will be my biggest complaint about this game because it's just infuriating. I will say we have a bat cave in this game, which we didn't have in City. We had it in Asylum, but this is the actual main official bat cave, and goddamn, I love this bat cave so much. There's so many Easter eggs you could find around the place, like the Arkham Asylum Batmobile. You can do some training, you can swap skins. It's pretty awesome. I wish that we had a bat cave in Arkham Knight, but you know, it is what it is. I also do love the skin selection in this game. All of them look pretty cool, especially the Blackest Night Batman. All this talk about gameplay, you know, reminds me of the good old days of Batman Arkham Origins Online, which unfortunately doesn't work anymore, and that's so sad because that multiplayer was fucking fire. But yeah, like I said, the gameplay mostly stays the same. The only really gripe I have is the map. Next, we'll talk about side missions, and I'll be honest, guys, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. This is the only Arkham game I did not care about 100%ing. I usually 100% these games, but I still have never and have no desire to do everything in this game. I'm not saying the side missions are bad, it's just, I just never really had incentive to do it. Let's go over ones I like, okay? So we have Shiva and Deadshot, which are the two remaining assassins that weren't a part of the main story. Now, both these side missions aren't long. I'll start with Shiva first. She kidnaps these cops, and she appears and questions Batman's methods about letting criminals live and stuff, which is actually, you know, very interesting how she views that these criminals don't deserve to live, and that's why I'm saying that either of these two assassins should have been in the main story besides like Copperhead or something. But yeah, after finding the two police officers, you do end up in a boss fight with her to where she says,
I hope in time you come to realize how wrong you are about Gotham. It is not meant to be saved. It cannot be saved. Only cleansed. And from the ashes, reborn.
Shall we consider the case closed, then?
For now. I doubt tonight's the last I'll see of Shiva.
Unfortunately, that was the last we saw of her, but whatever. Again, not much to it, you know. It's interesting that they did build up some difference in viewpoint between them. Wish we could have seen more of her, but again, the side mission's very quick, so it's not going to take you that long. It's not boring or anything. Just wish we could have known more about her. And then Deadshot, again, very quick. You investigate a crime scene that took place, and you end up fighting him in Gotham Merchant's Bank, and you have this kind of Two-Face-esque boss fight with him. Again, very quick, very easy. I do wish Deadshot was in the main story, because I feel like you're gonna sideline Deadshot, but I understand they could only do so much in one story. But I actually do like this Deadshot mission more than in Arkham City, because within these side missions, you actually do get to fight the people you're chasing instead of pressing a button and it being over, and that was one problem I had with the Arkham City side missions. The next one I like is the Mad Hatter side mission, where you know how it goes. He kidnaps kidnaps a woman, calls her Alice because, you know, why not? But we end up going in this Wonderland scenario that honestly feels really close to the Scarecrow nightmares in Batman Arkham Asylum. So it's no surprise that I really love how they handled this. You do get some very trippy gameplay sections where you see enemies on another side of a mirror, but you can't go through it, but they can. These weird camera angles and these puzzles. Honestly, it gets very trippy. There's not really a big fight with Mad Hatter, which is understandable. Mad Hatter doesn't really pose a threat to Batman outside of fucking with him psychologically. But yes, this is very fun. I, again, like it more than Arkham City. While Arkham City was cool with the mask and everything, there's more to it than just beating a bunch of people up and then being done. There's another side mission where you do a bunch of crime scene investigations. As you remember, I talked about the whole recreation that Batman does. So there's a whole side mission of just doing that. So that's pretty fun. Nothing much to it. Again, I love that this is incorporated to make Batman really feel like the world's greatest detective. Something that I feel like the other two games were kind of lacking in. Some side missions I'm kind of in the middle on are stuff like the Penguin side missions where you just have to fight enemies and disable a bunch of weapons cache. The thing I like about these side missions is how Barbara talks to Batman, tries to help him out, kind of a precursor to her being Oracle.
Anyway, I'll let you get back to kicking ass and keeping us safe. And you'll see, one day my father's gonna figure out just how cool I already know you are.
It's very nice. You could tell how she really wants to help Batman make a difference in the city. But again, it's just going around and disabling caches over and over again. So I think the dialogue between Barbara and Batman really saved this side mission. Then there's the Anarchy mission, which has you going around and disabling different bombs planted around the city, spots where corruption comes from the most within Gotham. And Anarchy is actually an interesting character. He's just a young kid mad at the system, and Batman recognizes that, but of course he's going about it the wrong way, setting up these bombs. Gameplay itself is alright, again, doing the same stuff over and over again. There's also a side mission where you do a bunch of different gameplay challenges, and depending on what you do, you get different rewards and stuff, which I think is pretty cool. Alright, let me talk about the ones that are just not it for me. First off, Bird. Not a lot of people who play this game are going to know who Bird is from the comics. If you don't know, Bird is one of Bane's lieutenants in the Nightfall comics, and he gets brought into this game kind of in the same role, but I don't give a fuck about him. His side mission is really just find a bunch of different gang fights going on and break that up until you eventually find Bird. I'll say the one good thing about this side mission is that these gang fights are fucking massive, so you can easily achieve over a 100 times combo within these fights, and I love that a lot. But when it comes to Bird himself, you confront him at the alibi, you fight him and a bunch of other enemies. He just goes down like a normal enemy, and that's it. All right, I mean, I'm kind of conflicted because I don't know if they should have gone more in depth with it because nobody really knows who Bird is, or they should have just done something different. I don't know. I can't make up my mind. But the redeeming part about it is those big long fights that you do have. But Bird himself is not interesting to me. That might upset some people who read the comics, but whatever. Next one I didn't love that much is Black Mask. It's basically a repeat of Bane's side mission in Arkham City, where you go around and destroy these different containers, and then after doing that you confront Black Mask, and again you just beat him up along with a bunch of other dudes, and that's mainly it. I don't think I would be so hard on this side mission if A, it wasn't just a copy and paste of Bane's from Arkham City, and B, Black Mask didn't get sidelined to a side mission, because that still infuriates me that he's not the main villain and he gets sidelined to this like mid-ass side mission. Wasted potential with this man, dude. Last thing I don't fucking like regarding the side missions is any collectibles or any destructibles. And yes, I'm including the Riddler. It's not like the other two videos I did where it's like, oh, there's so much Riddler trophies and this is absurd, and I'm having fun with it because I love the Riddler in those games. But in this game, there's no trophies. There's data packages that you have to collect before Riddler decides to leak a bunch of nasty information out into the public. After in Arkham City, where we finally saw Riddler in person and we get to take him down and we do a bunch of these Riddler rooms, which are pretty fun, he he doesn't make an appearance in this game. He just gets resorted back to a voice, and all you do is collect these data packages, which you might say, you know, that's what you did in Asylum. You just collected trophies, but it just doesn't interest me that much, especially knowing after you collect all this shit, the only thing you get is the first Riddler trophy, which, you know, is a cool reference and everything. But there's nothing enticing me to keep going and collecting all these data packages. It's not that interesting. And it kind of breaks my heart because Riddler, I'm always looking forward to Riddler in these games, even though it's like a love-hate relationship type thing. In this game, I don't care enough. And this is kind of a detriment to this game because this isn't the only collectible. There's relay networks you have to destroy. There's also anarchy tags that you have to scan. There's a whole cold case involving Cyrus Pickney. Maybe it's just me, you know, I'm not gonna speak for anyone else in the community, but me personally, I can't fucking do it. There's just too many. It's kind of something I didn't like in Arkham City either, where besides the shit ton of Riddler trophies, there's cameras and the balloons and the teeth, and it become very overbearing. Again, people might feel differently from me, but it's not for me. So yeah, that's the side missions. You know, some I like, some I don't. I don't really hold it that much against this game, you know. Again, it's just extra stuff that you want to do, you can do it, but yeah, side missions maybe just aren't for me in this game. Tell me how you feel about it. But moving on, next thing I want to talk about is the Cold Heart DLC. Prior to making this video, I never played before, but I figured I'd give it a shot since, you know, I'm replaying it again. Honestly, this DLC fucking slaps. The main villain of the DLC is Mr. Freeze, and it's set on New Year's. And of course, with it being a Mr. Freeze story, the main motivator is his wife Nora. I love Mr. Freeze so much. He's one of my favorite Batman villains, so it's cool to see that he has a DLC to himself. Plus, the design for him in this game is fucking awesome. Before I go on about Mr. Freeze, though, I do want to talk about the gameplay in this DLC because they do add more stuff to really make it worth paying for. Like, first off, you get to play as just Bruce Wayne without the Batman suit inside Wayne Manor, no less. I thought that was nice how you get to run around Wayne Manor stopping these bad guys without the suit. Again, it's funny to me that nobody ever figures this shit out. You even get a little bit stealthy as Bruce Wayne, which is something we don't ever see. But one thing I love on the map, instead of the sky usually being a blue, it kind of has this orange tint to it, which looks so good. I wish that they used this in the main story because it does give off that animated series vibe, which I guess they were going for because they also do Mr. Freeze's origin, which closely relates to that. But of course, the most memorable thing about this DLC is a special extreme environment suit, which is just perfect. It looks so good. Batman basically put on a fucking tank. Instead of shock gloves, it's heat gloves, which basically work the same way, except for the fact that there are special gameplay circumstances like melting ice so that people can be free or that you can get past walls. You also get heated batarangs, which help take down enemies by dropping icicles on them, which should be murder, but you know, it's a Batman game. There's also these new enemy types that have their own freeze guns, which is pretty cool. They can get fucking annoying sometimes though. And it's cool that they continue the trend of Freeze not really being a bad guy. He even says to Batman that he has no quarrel with him, but instead this dude named Mr. Boyle, who starts off all nice and stuff, but is actually the bad guy, you know? He's kind of a cheesy bad guy, but it fits so well with this DLC. They really encapsulated that 90s animated style and everything. And at the end of the DLC, Batman, of course, helps Freeze out. He saves him. And I love the relationship between Freeze and Batman. It's like they respect each other, but Mr. Freeze has his own motives, which clearly for good intent, but he'll do anything for it. I really love how this DLC ends though, because it goes to credits and all you hear is the news report where they do some more setup of Gordon becoming commissioner and Arkham Asylum. And then I think the best part about it is they turn to citizens' comments about the Batman.
I didn't even see him coming.
Oh, it was all a blur. He just whooshed in out of nowhere.
Listen, I'm a cop. I can't condone what he does, but I can be grateful he's doing it.
Oh, he's real, all right. I got the bruises to prove it.
He's real, he's ruthless, and there ain't nothing in the world that's gonna stop him.
The way it's delivered and how they emphasize that the Batman isn't just a myth, he's real and he's out there, it's so good, and it sends a chill down my spine. It really makes it feel like this is the end of the beginning for Batman. So that's everything Batman Arkham Origins has to offer, and after going through everything and after replaying the game over again, it's insane to me that people will overlook this game just because it obviously has differences, and when it does those different things, giving a Batman a true arc, different styles and cutscenes, designs, voice acting, it does it really fucking well. Like, this is the best version of Bane we got. Batman and Joker are amazing. The DLC is incredible, and they give us even more outside of that. Like, besides New Game Plus, you have an I Am the Night mode, which is basically a permadeath mode where if you die, you have to start the game over again, which is pretty fucking cool and is not present in the other Arkham games, and they didn't have to add it, but the fact that they did, you know, it gives you something else to do. Of course, I had my gripes about the side missions and stuff and the map, of course, but that doesn't break the overall gameplay experience for me. If it did, I probably wouldn't be talking about it as much as I am now. But yeah, it sucks to see that this isn't included in any like Arkham collections. It's always separated and outcast from getting a remaster or re-release, just kind of stuck in time. If you haven't played Arkham Origins in a while, go ahead and play it again. See if you really think it really doesn't deserve to be talked about as much as the others. Me personally, I think it ranks last for me, but there's things in this game that I feel they do better than the other three. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll get a re-release or a remaster in the future. I doubt it though. We have one more Arkham game to talk about, folks, and that is Batman Arkham Knight. And of course, Suicide Squad is coming out in February. I want to try and talk about Arkham Knight before Suicide Squad comes out, but Arkham Knight is a big game, so I'll see what I can do. And of course, we'll talk about Suicide Squad. I have so many thoughts about how that game's looking. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about Arkham Origins in the comments, what you like, what you don't like. Am I wrong about the side missions and stuff? But before we end this video, I just want to take a moment to talk to you guys for a second, as this will be my last video of 2023. So I feel like I should say thank you to everyone who watched and subscribed. We hit 1,000 subscribers recently. That's just amazing to be. Like, I posted my first video on October 31st, 2022, and I hit 1,000 subscribers exactly a year later, and I really didn't think I was gonna hit 1,000 this year, but goddamn. So thank you all for tuning in. It means a whole lot. There's a lot of other content I want to make outside of Arkham and superhero games. If you guys have any game suggestions, drop them down below. I've been playing a lot of different games lately. Baldur's Gate has taken over my fucking life. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Take care. Peace.